What if I told you that the project that should lead Aston Martin to fight for the championship in 2026 could be in danger from the first race? Because what has been discovered after free practice at the Australian Grand Prix has set off all the alarms in the paddock. Fernando Alonso has sent a very clear message within the team. Adrian Newey recognizes that there is no quick solution, and the new AMR26 is showing such serious problems that there is even concern about reliability. And something even more worrying, the car's vibrations are physically affecting the drivers. What was supposed to be the beginning of a new era for Aston Martin could have turned into a real technical crisis, and what happened in the Melbourne practices could completely change the course of the project. The 2026 Australian Grand Prix was to mark the beginning of a new stage for Aston Martin. After months of promises, intensive development, and the arrival of key figures within the technical project, the AMR26 was called to be the car that confirmed that the British team was ready to make the final leap towards the fight for victories. However, what started as a normal season opening weekend at Albert Park ended up becoming a wake-up call throughout the paddock. After free practice 1 and 2, the feeling within the team is that the car is not simply out of rhythm, but that it could be facing much deeper structural problems than imagined in winter. The first hint that something was not working appeared even before the championship officially started. During the Bahrain tests, Aston Martin accumulated one of the lowest mileage of the entire grid, a sign that in Formula One is almost always synonymous with hidden problems. While other teams were running full race simulations and experimenting with aerodynamic setups, the AMR26 could barely complete long runs without suffering some sort of technical issue. Lance Stroll had extremely short sessions on track, and Fernando Alonso even had to stop a race simulation due to a failure in the hybrid unit, leaving the team with a huge lack of real data before traveling to Australia. That information deficit became even more evident when the car hit the track in Melbourne. In the first laps of free practice, the engineers began to notice strange behavior in the car. The car did not respond in the same way as in the simulator or in the wind tunnel, something that in modern Formula One is an extremely worrying sign. The correlation between development tools and what happens on the track is essential to evolve a car during the season, and when that correlation fails, the team loses its main technical reference. In the case of AMR26, the difference between what is expected and what is actually happening appears to be much greater than normal. But the most serious problem is not only related to aerodynamic performance. The team's internal investigations have pointed to a factor that is directly affecting the car's performance: extremely strong vibrations coming from the new Honda engine. These vibrations not only affect the stability of the car, but are also generating a direct impact on the components of the hybrid system, especially the battery. Analysis carried out by engineers indicates that the vibration level is high enough to cause premature damage to electrical components if the car is used for long periods with high performance settings. This situation forced Aston Martin to make very conservative decisions during Friday's sessions. The team reduced the number of laps on the track, limited the use of certain engine maps, and avoided running full race simulation programs. In other words, while the rest of the grid worked to optimize their performance for qualifying and the race, Aston Martin was focused on something much more basic: trying to get the car to run without suffering serious failures. That difference in approach reflects the extent to which the team is in a technical diagnosis phase rather than a competitive optimization phase. In the midst of all this, a key figure appeared in the project: Adrian Newey. The legendary designer, who has been involved in the technical conception of the new Aston Martin, would have already recognized internally that the problem does not have an immediate solution. This means that the team can't just introduce a small modification to solve it in a matter of days. When a problem is related to the concept of the car itself, any solution usually requires complex redesigns that can take weeks or even months to implement correctly. And in a Formula One season, losing that time at the beginning can have consequences that are very difficult to reverse. For Fernando Alonso, the situation is especially delicate. The Spaniard has been one of the pillars of the Aston Martin project since his arrival to the team and has placed many expectations in this new technical stage. However, the sensations inside the car during the first sessions in Australia have been worrying. The vibrations of the AMR26 not only affect the behavior of the car, but are also transmitted directly to the driver's body. Alonso and Lance Stroll have described sensations of numbness in their hands and arms after some runs, something that has attracted a lot of attention within the paddock because it is not a common situation in current Formula One. That human detail adds an even more serious dimension to the problem. If the car generates too intense vibrations, it not only compromises the reliability of the mechanical components, but also the driver's ability to maintain precise control during an entire race. In the worst case, the possibility of nerve damage has even been mentioned if exposure to these vibrations continues for too long. Although these extreme situations are rare, the simple fact that they are being discussed within the team reflects the magnitude of the challenge Aston Martin faces at the moment. For all this, the message that Fernando Alonso has sent after the first sessions in Australia has not gone unnoticed. More than a direct criticism, it has been a clear warning that the team needs to react quickly. The AMR26 cannot afford to start the season with structural problems if Aston Martin wants to establish itself as a serious contender on the grid. Formula One is an extremely long championship, but also extremely unforgiving with teams that lose time at the start. And right now, Aston Martin is facing an uncomfortable reality. Before thinking about fighting for track positions, it first needs to make sure its new car can perform as it should. The real problem for Aston Martin is not only what happened in the first sessions in Australia, but what those signals reveal about the AMR26 in the medium term. When a Formula One car presents correlation failures between the wind tunnel, the CFD and the track, the technical challenge multiplies exponentially. It means that the team not only has a difficult car to drive, but they also can't fully trust their development tools to understand why it happens. And that, in a championship where each update depends on extremely precise mathematical models and simulations, can become a real nightmare for engineers. In the case of Aston Martin, the first conclusions suggest that the car is behaving very differently than the design data indicated, which forces the team to rethink many of the decisions made during the winter. Added to this correlation problem is the factor that is of most concern internally: the vibrations generated by the new Honda engine. Engineers have identified that the propeller produces internal oscillations that the AMR26 chassis is not filtering correctly. In a modern Formula One car, the engine is a structural element that is part of the chassis itself, so any excessive vibration can be transmitted to the entire structure of the car. That affects multiple areas at the same time, from the electronics of the hybrid system to the sensors that collect data in real time. When these vibrations reach certain levels, they can even distort sensor readings, further complicating technical analysis and finding solutions. The most obvious direct impact is occurring in the hybrid system battery. According to analyses carried out by the team, engine vibrations are subjecting electrical components to constant stress that could cause premature failure. This explains why Aston Martin has had to limit the use of certain power modes during training sessions. Instead of working on optimizing performance, engineers have been forced to prioritize the mechanical survival of the car, reducing the demands on the engine and avoiding long runs that could cause a breakdown. This situation puts the team at a clear competitive disadvantage compared to their rivals, who can use training to fine-tune every detail of their setup. But the problem does not end there. When a car experiences excessive vibrations, it can also affect aerodynamic performance. The aerodynamics of a Formula One car depends on surfaces that are extremely sensitive to airflow. If the car's structure constantly vibrates, those flows can alter unpredictably, reducing the efficiency of the aerodynamic package. This could explain why the AMR26 is not generating the downforce that engineers expected based on wind tunnel data. In other words, Aston Martin could be facing a double problem: an engine that generates abnormal vibrations and a chassis that fails to isolate them, which ends up affecting both the reliability and performance of the car. In this context, Adrian Newey's role becomes even more relevant. The British engineer is known for his ability to solve complex design problems, but even within the team it is recognized that this type of failure cannot be solved overnight. When a car is born with a structural problem, the solutions usually involve profound redesigns of key components of the car. This can mean changes to the structure of the chassis, the way the engine is integrated into the package, or even the architecture of the hybrid system. Each of these modifications requires development time, simulator testing, validation in the wind tunnel, and finally its introduction on the track, a process that can extend over several races. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso finds himself in a particularly difficult position. The Spaniard is one of the most experienced drivers on the grid and knows how to recognize when a project is going through a critical moment. During the sessions in Australia, his main priority has not been to find the limit of the car, but to understand what is really happening with the AMR26. Each run on the track has become an opportunity to collect information that helps engineers understand the origin of the problem. However, even for a driver with his experience, driving a car with such intense vibrations can be extremely difficult. Steering wheel control, pedal sensitivity, and braking precision depend on mechanical stability that, for now, the AMR26 is not providing. Within the team, the challenge is enormous because solving these types of problems does not depend on a single modification. When a car is born with a problematic interaction between engine, chassis and hybrid system, each change that is introduced can generate new unexpected consequences. If Aston Martin tries to reduce vibrations by modifying the structure of the car, it could alter the aerodynamic behavior. If you try to limit the problem to the engine side, you could lose performance. And if you simply reduce power to protect components, the car would become even less competitive against its rivals. That's the complexity facing engineers right now. Any partial solution can bring with it a new problem in another area of the car. That is why the team is in a critical diagnostic phase. Every lap that Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll have taken in Melbourne has become a source of information for the engineers. The data collected during the practices is being analyzed in enormous detail to try to identify exactly where the chain of problems that is affecting AMR26 originates. In Formula One, data collection is the basis of any technical solution, and in this case the team needs to understand precisely how engine vibrations interact with the rest of the car's structure. Only then can they design a solution that doesn't compromise other areas of performance. However, time is against Aston Martin. Modern Formula One is advancing at a brutal speed. Each race introduces new updates. Each weekend the competitive balance between the teams changes, and each point lost at the start of the championship may be impossible to recover later. While Aston Martin dedicates its resources to solving fundamental problems with the car, its rivals continue to evolve their cars normally. That means that even if the team finds a solution within a few races, it could find that the grid has already moved forward in terms of performance. There is also another factor that adds pressure to the situation: the expectations surrounding the Aston Martin project. Over recent years, the team has invested enormous resources to build a structure capable of competing with the historic Formula One teams. The arrival of new facilities, the incorporation of high-level engineers, and the partnership with Honda are part of a strategy designed to turn Aston Martin into a real contender for the championship. The AMR26 was to be one of the first visible fruits of that collective effort. Therefore, discovering such serious problems at the beginning of the season represents a very hard blow to the team's aspirations. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.